So before we even start the intro, I just want to let you guys know this is my personal opinions about this specific knife, not bashing the brand in general. So now, here comes that intro. When it comes to my opinion on knives, I've been accused of being obstinate and opinionated, stubborn, which is the same as obstinate. And those things aren't wrong, but I can't recommend this knife, and I think I'm going to save you some money before you up and buy something that you're going to be disappointed in. So let's turn us around and take a look at the worst expensive OTF knife I've ever seen. All right, guys, let's just jump into this. And like I said, I'm not trying to bash this company, but I am not at all impressed with this offering. Maybe I'll try and seek out trying to maybe find some other knives, but this knife, I have to admit, is at a disadvantage because it is an OTF switchblade, which I really am not such a big fan of. I own a couple of them because they are fun. They are fidgety. They have some cool factor about them, but they're typically one of the least functional types of knives, in my opinion. So this is a dagger style OTF push, out the front, double action, done in aluminum and D2. It's called the Humvee. It is a dagger style with a nice central ridge. The grind on it is fairly decently accurate from side to side, which is, that's a really good thing. That's hard to do in a dagger. We're going to go through the good stuff on this. The action on it is really, really good. It's a very good action on this, and it has got some very nicely done hard coat ano. And it seems to be constructed fairly well. It is done by a company called Tekto, which I had never heard of. So this is the A4 Humvee, and it is done, it says here, made in Portland, Maine from US and imported parts, which is not an uncommon thing these days where you get stuff machined and manufactured offshore and maybe get your steel from somewhere else, and then you manufacture your knife in-house. Not an uncommon thing these days. It's almost like the way mid-techs were done. But at any rate, it's a way to make it called a US-made product. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So you do have a glass breaker, a fairly deep carry pocket clip. The button stands up nice and proud, and it's easy to access. And it's very similar in feel to the Benchmade Infidel series, which that's another series of knives I'm not a big fan of. I don't like Benchmade to begin with, and I definitely don't like the Infidels. This actually feels a little more solid. There's a little rattle to it than the Benchmade. All Torx construction, you can see there, so it'll be easy to take apart, maintenance. And the pocket clip is removable if you don't want to carry it that way. And it does come with a belt sheath. So we'll talk about why I say this would be a necessity for this knife when we get to the flip side of it. It does have a half serrated side and a full plain edge side on this. So you can see, I mean, it's not an unattractive knife. It's just not a knife that appeals to me. So that's the good stuff. But now we got to get into why I'm going to say I'm going to save you some money. And I think that's going to be the title of it, to avoid this knife. So flip side of the knife, flip side of the story, we'll get into all the stuff that is really not great about this knife. And like I said, Tekto, I'm absolutely willing to look at your other knives. I'm not just bashing your company. So let's go ahead and flip this around and look at all the stuff that makes me say that I just can't recommend this knife. All right, let's get in. The first and foremost stuff is this thing has got a really wonky look to it. So you look at this thing, like, I mean, you see this and you're expecting a big, beefy knife. And what you get is a blade that's really not that much different. When you look at size comparatively to the Ultratech here, you're not getting a blade that's really that much larger. So it has this big, beefy Humvee to it, like you'd expect this big over the top thing. And then the blade is just kind of underwhelming. It really is. The big one that really gets me is, while the handles aren't uncomfortable in this grip, when you get it like this, it's got these weird points on it that I don't understand. They don't need to be there, and they dig into your hand. And then you've got it like this. So then the other thing that really is the big one is when you get it like this, it's almost like the blade is on it backwards, in my opinion. This would be the blade I would want on this side, because this is how I'm going to hold it when it comes out of pocket. I don't want that button digging into my finger, so I'm going to hold it like this, which means that the serrated side is not the side that that's going to show the side, present the side that I don't really like as much. I'm not a fan of serrations. But the big thing about this that I've noticed is I've touched this edge up a couple times, and I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it. It is not at all sharp. It's kind of sharp here. It's dragging on something internally. It's dragging on something internally, and I can't see where, and I'm not going to take this knife apart, really. I don't like taking OTFs apart. It's dragging on something internally that is just stripping that edge off every time you touch it up. And when I say it's dull, I mean I'm pushing and dragging. I'm pushing hard, you can see, and I'm dragging, and I'm not at all afraid that I'm going to cut myself on that knife. It's just kind of one of those things that happens sometimes with some of the more poorly made OTFs. Next thing, even the side that doesn't drag very much isn't sharp. The areas where it was, you can see where the edge just drags off until it starts to make that rotation. It's just not that sharp to begin with. And then the serrations just aren't real good serrations. So there's the things with the blade. So it's small, it's not sharp, you can't keep it sharp. But then you start getting into some other stuff. It's got some sharp edges. There's a sharp corner here. There's a sharp spot on this pocket clip. The pocket clip is really sharp. Like I said, you can remove the pocket clip and it's not going to be that bad. However, this, without the ability to remove this, complete showstopper for me. That glass breaker, and glass breaker, don't get me wrong, this one has the same issue. Glass breakers are just dumb on these knives, unless you're going to use one of the like ceramic ball or hard, you know, ball bearing set ones. So you've got to have this sheath. There's no way you're going to carry this comfortably. I tried several times to carry this. And I'm going to tell you, even my friends that do not have a beer belly, they're like, man, that is sharp. That digs into your side. That digs into your belly. It's just overall not very well executed. And to tell you the truth, when you look at price, it's $219. I mean, yeah, I paid $400 for this, but a lot of the Microtech stuff has come down in price. And a lot of the Microtechs are now around a $300 mark. You're not that far under the mark where you would be looking at a much higher quality knife. $219 is a lot for a knife that has this many issues. The big one being, like, if I've got a knife that I can't keep sharp, like that is just ridiculous. You can see it just strips off. Pardon me, I burped. The edge just strips off. And I can't justify the price on this at all. And I just don't like this knife at all. I may like I said, I may actively seek out some other Tekto knives and see how I like them. But right now, I'm not impressed with the price. And when we get back to this is the big one. I said we would talk about this. This is one that this immediately becomes, not necessarily calling them out and saying they're lying, but this is the same stuff that Quartermaster Knives was doing. Like, oh, our knives are made here from these parts, and turns out that it was all a lie, and their stuff was just all garbage, and it was all being made offshore. And they were lying, and the facility where they said they were being made didn't even exist. And so that immediately, when I see that, raises flags. Not saying that that's what they're doing, but it raises flags, in my opinion, because I've seen people get burned by companies that are doing that. So this is not going to be a real super long video. Is it a yup or a nah? It's a nah. I just cannot recommend this knife at all. And to tell you the truth, I honestly think it's a waste of money. If you want a good out the front, there's several brands out there that really bring it when it comes to quality and bang for your buck, where you can get a good knife like the Microtech Ultratech. There's a couple other brands that are out there that are making their stuff in shop. Yes, they're a bit more expensive, but they're definitely higher quality. So not to make this video any longer, I just thought we would take a look at this so I can get this sent back out to Jared. So let's turn this around, do some final thoughts, and I'll send you out about your day. There you go, guys. Yeah, there's just so many things that I personally find wrong with that knife, just that I can't recommend it. There's some people I'm sure that probably love them. The big one for me is it drags in and out. It just will not stay sharp. And after the first couple times I tried, I was like, yep, no, I'm done with that. So a big thanks to Jared for sending along, because I got to see a brand that I had never seen before. But in my opinion, just pony up the dough and go get a Microtech. They're probably the best OTFs you're going to get. If you like the Benchmade ones, go with the Benchmade. At least you're going to have something that you know is going to stay sharp and things like that. So with that being said, guys, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe down below. You can follow some of my links down below. Have got discounts built into them. Coffee Brand Coffee, Temper Trail. 10% off, I believe, with both of those. I have an Amazon store where you can go and purchase anything you want. Take that pin at your browser. It supports the channel. Do all your Amazon shopping that way. If you're looking for knives, I have a ton of affiliate links down below from Blade. Basically, most of the major vendors are down below, and you can follow those links, do all the shopping you're going to do for knives through there. Public Discord is available. I believe I've put a new link up to that, so it's a fresh link. And I have a membership where I do giveaways, exclusive content, premium sharpening tutorial series, and there's a private Discord. There you go. Sorry, guys, a little scatterbrained. It's currently 3:25 in the morning. Guys, that's it on this one. I love y'all. Keep it clean in the comment section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. I'll see you in the next video.